Hi everybody, welcome to the economics course. Economics is for everyone. Before I jump in and tell you exactly what this course is going to be about, I'm going to introduce myself to you. You're probably wondering, who is this guy appearing in 24 videos telling us all about economics and telling us how it affects their lives? It could be any fool, right? So, just to keep you interested, I'm going to tell you just a little bit about myself. So I've been an economist for about 11 to 12 years now. A lot of that time I spent working in the government. So I know a little bit about how economics works with the government and how infrastructure is evaluated, because that was one of my key jobs. It actually was cost-benefit analysis. So that was appraisal of investments, basically. Most of that was on roads. I did finish up with the government looking at a few other investment proposals as well, like schools, hospitals, dams, etc. And all of that applied economics directly. Since then, I have been doing some other stuff in relating to the last 1 or 2 years. I've been reviewing projects. You call them gateway reviews, so I've been involved with quite a few of those. Also, I've been actually running my own business as well, which also involves reviewing some further work too. I guess you could call that part of my business. I've also got my own YouTube channel. I've made now over 100 videos over the last 2 years. And I also have my own Steemit page / channel, if you want to call it that. And that's also got videos, and it's got a lot of posts on there. Most of it relating to economics, some of it relating to a few other little things there too, just so you can get to know a little bit better. So I'd strongly recommend that you actually check out my Steemit page. You can also access it on Busy or SteamPeak. All of that is linked to what we call the Steem blockchain. So I've been involved with quite a bit of work around there. Most of my career I've been in Australia. As you're probably wondering now, this is no longer Australia. So I've made the move. I'm now in the United Kingdom, and I'm probably going to be here for quite some time. And looking forward, I'm going to be doing more of these courses. I'm going to be doing more work on Steem, and I'm also going to be still doing more videos, and also I'm probably going to be doing some project reviews as well over the other side on the island. So basically that sums it up for what I'm all about. And next I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the course. So stay tuned to that. We'll be going to PowerPoint slides. Now that I've got introductions out of the way, I'd like to talk a little bit about the course itself. So the course has been broken down fundamentally into 3 areas. So the first area is identify the application of economics in the real world. Now I have about 5 units there, and that's where I'll be talking about how basically economics is everywhere, and I'll be looking at it in terms of you personally, about the people around you, as well as the world in general. At the end of each of those, we'll have what we call a short assessment, and I'll describe that in our next video, what I mean by the short assessments. The next area you can see in the red is what we call explain the fundamental theories and concepts. So this is going to be more your typical sort of stuff you're going to find in a course, where I'm going to be talking about things like demand and supply, production, utility, or the producer theory, if you want to call it. And then I'm going to be looking at some of your macro things, such as inflation, national income, and things like that. And again, these will be followed up by short assessments. At one point, I think halfway through, we'll go back to identifying the application of economics in the real world and just show where some of those theories fit into some of the stuff we identified earlier on. We will then complete the red section, and we go down to the blue section, which I've divided into 3 parts. The first part, I'll explain the application of economics to the real world. That will be a very short sort of, I think it's just 1 presentation I have on that. Then we'll move on to what I like to call my dark side of economics. So basically that is just how economics is often misused and abused. And it's good for all of you to understand how that's happening. And then we go in the other direction, also in the blue area. I like to talk about how you can use economics to improve your life, how you get more out of your life using economics, based on some of the theories that we've already discussed. At the very bottom, you can see here what we call a final assessment. I'll be talking more about that again in our next unit, but I've got what we call scenario questions. Something a little bit different, but hopefully you'll find it quite exciting. Here we have that same structure again, just broken down into a little bit more detail about what each area has. Key differences here, just mentioned a few things, like in the red area, I've broken it down into broad economic theories. Micro and macro comes a little bit later. And yep, that's about it. So it'd be worth just taking a look at this. This would be in the slides that I'm providing to you. It is just another way of looking at the course, but fundamentally the same, just breaks things down just a little bit easier for you. So what I have in this slide is a breakdown of all of the course units. So this course contains 24 units, and it broke up into those various categories I showed you just now. So we start off with the course introduction, which is this one. I'll talk about the coursework and assessment in the second unit, and there on in, we get into the course proper. So we're looking at economics is everywhere, all the way up to world application. That's our first part, and then key theories up all the way until macro and money. And then we have the blue section, which is our real world application, and then eventually our final assessment. So now I've inserted those course units into that structure that I mentioned above, so you can see how it all fits in. So for example, we have from 1 to 6, as I mentioned, that's in the yellow area. And then we go through to 7 all the way up to 11. So it gets up to market structures. And then you can see 12 is back up into the yellow area again. That is revisiting all the stuff that we've done before, as I mentioned earlier. And then we go right back into this again, which will be starting at 13. We compare microeconomics with macroeconomics. And that takes us through all the way up until money. That's a very important one. Just take note of that one. And then we go into the blue area. So we got that middle blue one first with 18, which is real world application, which takes us then to the two dark side, economics 1 and 2, which then brings us back to modeling. And then we finish up with making life better. And those are two quite nice little ones, I think, to round up. The blue green at the bottom, that's got number 2 in it. That's the next unit, because that explains what the short assessments are about, as well as what the final assessment is, very briefly. And 24, our very final unit, that is what I mentioned earlier, is what we call the scenario questions, and that will go into quite a bit of detail about what those are all about. So that takes us to the end of this introductory unit. I introduced myself at the beginning down at the lake, and then I went on to the slides. I thought you all guys need to see the slides up in the big screen, so I put those forward just so you can see the structure of the course and also the various units that we're going to be covering. So this is a reasonably long course. The units will vary in length. I think the shortest units would be about 4-minute videos, and I think we got ones that are over 10 minutes. And all of these are followed up by questions, and that's going to be explained in our next lesson, in our next unit, coursework and assessment. So thank you for deciding to run with this course. Hopefully you will not be disappointed. This is something a little bit different in terms of economics, this approach, with a very much greater focus on application than just theory in itself, as we will be constantly rolling back into application as we go along. Less than half of this is purely on theory, which is quite different from most of the courses you encounter. So this is set up to help people, everyday people that need to know a little bit about economics, to try and help them make better decisions. This is also useful for anyone who wants to take up an economics course. This provides you a little bit of foundation if you want to get into that too. This is not a professional course, not like those courses. It is a little different, but I think you can take away something. Even the more advanced users can pick up a few different things there. But like I said, though, the main focus is on your everyday people. So anyway, thank you, and hopefully you'll enjoy the rest of the course. Take care now.